everyone. Welcome to Life and Style with Francyne. I'm your host, Francyne Walker, and joining me today is Sonja Moffett, creator of Political.com. Hey, Sonja.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
Good.
About how you were inspired to create Political.com.
All right. Well, Political really is an educational site. It's to really inspire our people to get politically active and motivated to vote. The 2016 election really went badly for the Democrats because a lot of our young people decided that they were not going to vote because Black lives don't matter. And when I saw the number of young people who were polarized and passionate about solving these social issues, I was very much inspired by that. But then somewhere the messaging got lost in that we're not going to vote until Black Lives Matter. And it was like, no, you can't think that. And I think one of the things is that people who are young right now, they really don't understand the historical context around the people who sacrificed their lives so that we could have the right to vote. And so one of the things that I wanted to do with the site was educate our young people about that. About the Civil Rights Movement and specifically the Voter Right Act of 1964 in Selma. So I do highly recommend that you guys go see that movie if you haven't seen it, because it'll really wrap a historical context around what that means. And so that's what the site initially was devoted to do, was really educate our people about the significance of voting and really to inspire them to become more politically powerful.
So do you think they became a little more apathetic after seeing that Black lives really didn't matter?
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's why that ideology was developed. In fact, someone like Nick Cannon even said it, that he wasn't going to vote until Black Lives Matter. And that was concerning to me because he had such a huge platform. But it just made me realize that, you know, our young people just need to be educated more. They really need to understand that you actually can be in control of who goes into office. This is a democratic society. It's not a monarchy, and it's not a dictatorship, even with what's happening in our country right now. It's not. These are all elected officials, and we, the people, put them into office. And when we don't vote, what we're doing is we're advocating for their ascension to power, such as Donald Trump. If all of those Black Lives Matter marchers had been voters, I know that they say Russia was involved, but I honestly believe that our numbers could have changed the game. Because nobody's anticipating us. No, we're not on anyone's agenda because we've made ourselves politically irrelevant because we're not voting. And so nobody's coming to our neighborhoods.
When you say us, who are you referring to? What demographic?
Well, specifically Black people. And it's not to separate us to be racist or anything, because people can misconstrue it that way. But the fact is that many Black people are not voting. And so that's when we're talking about the historical context of the 1964 Voters' Right Act.
Because if I remember correctly, I know as African American women did show up to the polls.
Yes, we did.
We showed up and showed out. So I can't, and it's unfortunate because I can't quote the exact source, but I believe it was 56% Black men voted for Trump. And that totally, I'm like, why? How did that happen?
Well, I think that that actually did come up in another conversation. A lot of rappers, before Trump got onto the political scene, everybody wanted to be Trump. Everybody wanted money like Trump. People were watching The Apprentice, so people were fans of Trump. The reality star, the mogul. And so they respected the fact that he was a businessman, and everyone aspires to success. And I think that's one of the things that Trump did when he was campaigning is say, what do you have to lose? Vote for me. What do you have to lose? And really, Trump, he didn't say anything during his campaign. All he did was, it was a lot of things like, oh, it'll be great. If you vote for her, it'll be a disaster. Oh, and if you're Black, what do you have to lose? And he really didn't talk about what his plans were. And whenever he was asked about them, he would divert. a strategy that has gone on in the last 2 years of his presidency.
Absolutely.
And so he had a plan, all right. He just didn't want to share it with us. And I think had he done that, it would have revealed a lot of things. And I think the outcomes would have been a lot different in terms of the black men. But specifically, the whole demographic that we're missing here is our young people, that 18 to 30 group of people who said, I'm not voting until Black Lives Matter. And they're not thinking our people were historically brought to this country against our will as slaves. So we were free labor. They're missing the fact that we had people who died for the right for us to go and cast that ballot. And the other thing is political power equals the social justice. So if we are out there voting for people who are going to be sensitive to and advocate for our rights as a people, then we can see a lot more progress when it comes to taking the police officers who are murdering people unjustifiably out of their positions and bringing them to justice because they've committed a crime.
Absolutely.
And so when we elect new DAs, when we elect new sheriffs and chiefs for those who are elected, or even for those who are appointed, they're appointed by elected officials. We elect new mayors. When we put something into the electoral process, that's when we can get something out of it. But when we decide we're not going to vote, we're apathetic, it's pointless because we're never going to matter because we didn't make ourselves matter. That's how we made ourselves matter.
So what are your primary goals for Political.com this year?
This year.
With the midterm elections especially.
I want to impact the midterm elections first and foremost by reaching the demographic that I mentioned, the 18 to 30 group. I've created some videos out there that people can share through their social media platforms, really to educate and to put out that messaging as to why you need to vote and that we are not in a position to not be politically active. Okay. So that's the first thing, is to really impact this midterm election and really create a blue wave. Now, there are a lot of people out there right now. We're doing some great things. Political.com is just one of them. And so I want to do my part in helping to spark that passion to see change from a very powerful place, which is that political place. Policies are impacted by our vote. Everything that we do is impacted by the vote.
Talk about the collegiate panel you're pulling together to mobilize voters.
Right. So one of the things that I really want to start to grow is the participation of these young people in really emerging leaders, emerging political leaders. These people are in colleges across the country, and they are in political science programs, law degree programs, public administration. And so what I want to do is be able to identify those people who are looking to get into policy in the future, right now, while they're in college, to give them the experiential knowledge and the experience that they need to be impactful. And they can start impacting your peers and these political processes as leaders right now where you are, by interviewing these candidates, by inviting them out to your campuses and asking them the hard questions and telling them what your concerns are, and if you were to vote for them, what you expect in return from them.
You know, it's interesting, and I don't mean to cut you off,
that's
but
okay.
It's interesting because I hear your passion, which is phenomenal, and that's what we need, but I hear your career advice side, and that's what you do essentially, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I work for a university. I'm also the pro-change agent, so I help people with their careers. And one of the things that was important to me when we're talking about these emerging political leaders from these groups, because if these kids got together and started a national movement as strong as Black Lives Matter, you have so much power. And if you guys went and voted on your local, for your local, state, county, municipal, and federal politicians, and put into office people who are going to care about your lives, it's going to change the game. And you have the power to do that. And that's what political.com is about. It's about empowering our young people and saying, I love what you're doing now. We need a new message to go out. We need you leaders to go out to your cohorts and say, let's vote. Let's put people in place that are going to care about our future.
So once the midterm elections are completed, what's your plans, objectives after November 6th?
After November 6th. So I certainly am going to start to grow, and it's not really a panel, but it is the Collegiate Executive Committee.
Okay.
So where I'm going to be reaching out to the political science majors across the country,
Nice.
the law students who are interested in political law and policy, public administration students, even journalism students, so that they can start to get the experiential knowledge that they need in interviewing these
here's
candidates.
The thing, too, most journalism students go on to law school. That is the natural trajectory for it, and that was something. It's like everybody, because I'm a journalism graduate, and everybody was like, "Are you going to law school?" It's like I love law, but I don't want to be an attorney. But I could see that's where the policy is created.
Absolutely.
That's where the laws are created. And you write those laws. So that's how journalism and law. So it's just a natural progression.
Not only that, Francyne, but guess what?
Yeah.
When you think about Fox News, they spin whatever they want to the way that they want. We need a political voice. Now, I understand as journalists that you have to be balanced, well balanced. But right now, we're not seeing a lot of balance. Well, CNN tries to do their part, but we need more political voices. And I think that, and more interviews with people who are doing things in our communities that are going.
Can't do it by himself.
That's right. So we need you guys to step up to the plate. There are opportunities for you out there. Many of you are struggling to get into your field, struggling to get into media, or struggling to get into those jobs. Listen, if you create value right where you are in college, they're going to come after you. They're going to want to hire you because you know your stuff, and you are you're a leader, you're a thought leader, and that's what we need. We need more positive thought leaders.
We do. And here's the thing now. I was at the library earlier today, and I saw something, how now we have this how to spot fake news. Do you remember? I don't remember ever having to spot fake news. Like, we always have propaganda. We've always had that. That's been throughout history. But now we have this introduction of implied fake news, but we know why that was. That was basically to create fear in people to basically back away from the truth. It's like, wait a minute, is this fake news or is this the truth? And we know that person
45.
45 created that fear.
So
it's like, wow, fake news. I mean, that implies fake journalist. And I, as a journalist, take my integrity seriously. So that's kind of a slap in the face for journalists who seek to tell the truth, seek to empower, seek to inform, seek to educate. Fake news is certainly not a real journalist goal.
I think that there's a difference between fake news and reality. And I think that our country is filled with people who are a lot more intelligent than maybe some of these leaders give them credit for. I think that we have a very vocal minority, but we as the majority, and I'm not talking race now, I'm talking about people who feel the same way. A lot of people in this country are not happy with the leadership that we have right now. And it's definitely definitely propaganda. It's not propaganda when babies are in cages. That's not fake news.
Girl.
That's reality.
Yeah,
And so I think
that
that
right there.
as people are trying to discern what is real and what is fake, they really have to look at the real social issues that we're facing. And I think that there is a palpable movement, blue wave, that is coming to the congressional offices, and I think that it's going to really change things. I'm hoping anyway. I'm optimistic about it, but there's also a lot of gerrymandering that's going on. But the thing is, when you have numbers, it doesn't matter how much gerrymandering is going on, because if you have the numbers, it is what it is.
Strength.
But when you have so many young people who are saying, I'm not going to vote, but they're showing up in those numbers to march, there's a disproportionate number of people who are really going to impact those local, state, federal.
Yeah. I mean, look at the Parkland shooting victims.
Yes.
Those are some leaders as well.
Right.
So
I think that as well, like those 18-year-olds. And so on the site, you'll see 18 plus, and that's what that's about. Is any of you who are 18 and above, you can go cast a ballot. You're voting for gun control. You're voting for health care. You're voting for equal rights. You're voting for civil liberties. You're voting for equity, and you're voting for humanity.
Yes.
If
we need them.
If you want to make change, it's okay to march, and I think it's very good. It's a good display of power. But until we activate that power,
it doesn't impact power.
It won't impact it.
Right.
So we need to start voting. Vote November 6th, and beyond that, we're going to formulate, for any of those of you who are interested in being a part of the Collegiate Executive Committee, you can go directly to my website and sign up for that today. And we will get together. We will have some plans as we're moving forward towards 2020 election. And you can start to impact that right now, those of you who are interested. We need you guys to talk to your cohorts on campus about absentee ballots, about voting in general. And so there's a lot of things that this really stands for, politically active. It's empowering you to start to lead right where you are at your age, because you are capable of doing so.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, I'm so happy.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here, Sonja. And you heard you can go to political.com. If you want to get involved, as you should, get involved today, and she will reach out to you. Thanks again for tuning in to Life and Style with Francyne. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can stay up to date to my other phenomenal guests coming up in the future. I'll talk to you soon. See ya.
Bye.